Hello, welcome to the channel, and in this video this is part one of my motorcycle adventure. I'm going to head down the coast to Bridlington, and then I'm going to cross the country on the Way of the Roses cycleway and then head back via the Dales. That's the plan. So I'm starting my adventure in Stokesley, and the reason I picked Stokesley, it's close to where I live, and I can start the trip and end the trip here in Stokesley, which is going to allow me to work out my average miles per gallon. So I'm going to pop into the garage here on the right, and I'm going to top my fuel tank off and set my trip meter to 0. Then as I go around on my trip, every time I put fuel in, I'll make a note of how much fuel I'm putting in, and when I get back I'll come back here, top the tank off and record the total amount of fuel I've used, and then with a bit of math I can work out my average miles per gallon. Now, the plan here was to go down the high street. It's got a pretty little high street, runs along with the beck to my left. We'll cross a bridge here, nip down the high street, and it takes you past a little shop, Suggards, and they sell some really nice traditional vanilla ice cream. However, the first thing on this journey that didn't go according to plan. They're repairing the road or doing some works, and the high street, as you can see on the right, is blocked off. So I had to skirt Great Ayton on the outskirts and then continue to Newton under Rosebery. The main feature here is Rosebery topping just appearing on the skyline, and it's a nice walk on a summer's day up to Rosebery topping, and a lot of people do it. There's a car park in Newton under Rosebery where you can leave your car. And then we're on to Gisborough, straight after Newton under Rosebery. Pop through the high street and out the other side. And just on the right as we're leaving, you can make out Gisborough Priory, which is an English heritage site, and it's worth a visit if you're in Gisborough. And then it's the back road to Saltburn. Should have realised this was going to set in for the day. I got stuck behind this minibus all the way in Saltburn. Could never really get past it. Every time there was an open bit of road, it would move out to the right or put his foot down. So I followed him into Saltburn. Where he peeled off into the car park and allowed me past. And I made my way to the Ship Inn, which is now getting refurbed, and parked up outside. Stretch my legs and double check my kit. Saltburn. And the vernacular railway up on the cliff top. Worth a visit. Loaded up here in Saltburn and the pier. It's quite busy for a midweek. Don't know why. So after a quick check that everything was still strapped in place, back on the bike, I'm heading for Whitby. I'm going to follow the coast road that takes you through lots of little villages, some of them showing the tired state as economies decline, but still a lot of them are picturesque. You pass staiths and places like that, and eventually you'll end up at Sand's End, which is a little seaside town. And you know you're only 10 minutes from Whitby when you get here. So it's across the bridge and onwards to Whitby. And this is where things started to go wrong. I didn't get to shoot much footage off the bike as I went through Whitby to Scarborough and then on to Bridlington. as the traffic was a nightmare. It was bumper to bumper most of the way, and it took a long time and it was very frustrating. But eventually I got to Bridlington and pulled over to check the map. So I'm going to have a look on my phone on the maps after I've got my glasses on, double check which turn off I need up ahead, and then crack on. We're on the Yorkshire Wolds cycleway, or the Way the Roses cycleway. So I'm on the route proper, just left Bridlington. The road between Whitby and Bridlington, absolute nightmare, chock-a-block with traffic. Don't know why. I did stop at one point and I was talking to a minibus driver, and he was saying, you stop to check the map, there's no traffic. As soon as you get the camera out, loads of it. Right, what was I saying? Yes, talked to a minibus driver and he was saying he's never known it's a busy midweek. I think all the old folks' homes had let people out for a drive out on a Wednesday afternoon because the roads were quiet. Needless to say, they weren't. So I started the route at 1 o'clock. It's now almost 3:45. I'm way behind where I should have been because the roads were just dreadful, absolutely dreadful. So I'm now on, as I said, I'm on the cycle route proper. I've just pulled over. I'm going to pull over later on in a better place and stretch my legs, but right, crack on. I'm now on the heading towards York stretch, so we'll see how we go. Ta-ra. I've got to say, this was a nice little stretch of road, this bit towards York. The cycleway is well signposted and you're crossing lots of farmland, so as you can see there's hedges and quite straight roads, very straight. It would change noticeably the other side of York, but at the moment you've got long straight sections of single carriage tracks and roads with the occasional sharp bend in it where it turns at the corner of a field. The route is also well signposted. Oh, there's a couple of those cyclist chappies, and here's one of the signs. I'll slow down. On the give way sign on the left, just underneath it, there is a blue way marker. They have a white arrow on them and the red and the white rose, and you have to watch for them, and there's plenty of them. But as they're designed for cyclists, they're quite often quite small, and if you blink you'll miss them. There's another one coming up on the right which I almost missed, but if you slow down a bit at junctions you'll get to see them. On the white post on the right there's another one indicating the route. As I say, there's plenty of them, and I found that across the route there seem to be plenty of them. Just when you begin to wonder where you should be going, you'd spot one of those little signs. And this is fairly typical of this section of the route. Nice and flat, straightish roads, and you're tempted to get your speed up. But as soon as you start building your speed up, you'll come across either a junction, which you have to slow down because you can't see the other side of the hedge, or in this case, wildlife. There you go, there's a pheasant. Ooh, but it made me slow down, which was good, because coming round this corner, lickety split any second now, there's a blonde lady in a Chelsea tractor, and she nearly wiped me out. It's 8:15, day 1. I'm on my campsite. I didn't get as far as I thought I was going to, but then again I didn't start first thing in the morning. I started about lunchtime. So I think it was about 1 o'clock I started. And the traffic between Whitby and Bridlington was a nightmare. Whitby to Scarborough was bad. It was bad in Scarborough, and then it was bad from Scarborough to Brid. Then I got on to the way the route, and it was going all right, except I had to make a couple of diversions because the track crosses some railways and they've closed the vehicle access, so there's only pedestrian and cycle access. They've actually put a padlock and chain around the vehicle gate, so I had to work my way around that. Not a problem, all adds to the adventure. But then it was starting to get late and I got off my route again inadvertently, and in the end I thought I'll have to make a move, so I set the sat nav for just outside of York and made a beeline for it. Fortunately it took me through all the back roads and avoided most of the dual carriageways or major roads, so that was a nice ride, but I was late. So that brings me to this campsite, which I managed to find near Top Cliff. I'm not far off the actual route now. It's about 12 minutes over that way, so I can join the route again in the morning and hopefully stick to it. What I did discover is I planned the route on the Ordnance Survey app, and it allows you to follow the route. So if you ask for directions, it gives you a choice of different apps to use for the directions. One of them is Waze and the other one is Google Maps. So if you ask it to give you directions in Google Maps, it'll use Google Maps to navigate you along your route. However, and I didn't know this, it tries to start you at the start of your route. My route, I started planning it from Saltburn, so it started to direct me back to Saltburn. You know when you're following the directions and suddenly you think, I'm heading north here when I should be heading west. So I pulled over and checked it, and sure enough it was taking me to bloody Saltburn. And I haven't been able to edit the route. It won't let me edit it on my phone for some reason. It just keeps locking out. I might not have enough bandwidth. So that's screwed then. I can't use that to navigate by. Lesson learned though for next time. Start the route and stick to it. Right. You see, I knew the road between Saltburn and Whitby, so I didn't start the app until I got down to Bridlington. And then it was trying to take me back to Saltburn. Bloody stupid thing. Technology, eh? Anyhow, I'll give you a quick look at my setup. I went to the tent a few bays down. I saw them drive out and she just came back in and she's walked out with a plastic bag in her hand. Tea bags. They're fishing at the lake just yonder, so they've taken the car 300 metres shall we say, because it's got all the fishing gear in it, and obviously parked close to where they're fishing. Apparently they're here all week fishing. Well, here just over the night. Yesterday I dropped my bike, had a bit of an accident. Don't know if I mentioned it. Can't remember if I've mentioned it last night. Just before I got here actually, I was looking for the campsite and I was having to turn around. So I turned off the road up a little bit of gravel track which led back to the road. But it was on a bend in the road. So as I was getting back on the roads, a car came. I had to stop, but I was leant over too much, and because of the camber on the road and on the gravel and strategic placement of a small pothole just as the gravel and the road joined, as I stopped the bike wanted to tip. I put my foot out, but it was in a pothole, which meant the bike kept coming for a second and it was just too top heavy. I couldn't hold it up and it went down. And then I couldn't pick it back up because it was so top heavy. I took the hold all off and gave it a go. Couldn't quite get it but a car pulled up and the chap got out and gives a hand to stand it up, push it back off the road a little bit, and then I strapped everything back on. It was fine. I've scraped the engine bars and the exhaust, the heat shield on the exhaust. We just need touching up with a bit of black paint, but it could have been a lot worse. The car coming around that corner at speed could have just careered over us. I've got to say, there's been some crazy fucking car drive. I nearly got wiped out by a woman in a fucking Chelsea tractor on the cycleway. So it's part of the route which has got lots of little signs on it saying it's the cycle route. She was tear-assing around the bend, only just managed to stop and get out of her way. Yeah. And I swear the lane was no wider than her fucking car. She was going far too. They posted 40 mile an hour speed limit on there, but you can't do 40 mile an hour sensibly. Fortunately, and I think I've got it on video, hopefully I have, there was a pheasant, saved my life. I was cursing a little bugger, I thought he was trying to kill me. Popping about in the middle of the road, which made me slow right down. It's a good job I did, because I was going slow when this car came around the bend. Like a fucking hooligan. So that pheasant possibly saved my life there. So, I've got to watch the ground when I'm stopping at junctions and stuff. Take note of it more, especially with all the weight on the bike. We'll have to wait and see. Anyhow, breakfast this morning. Breakfast of champions. Porridge. Quick and easy to clean up. Oh, I need some more water. I'll go fill the kettle up. After I've got the porridge started, I'll go fill the kettle. So, plan for today, get back on the route through Ripon. I'll put the map up and I'll show you. So that's the route I'm proposing. And where I need to go to. I'm in the top in Little Hutton, and I've got to get down to Boroughbridge. And then from Boroughbridge up to Ripon. But from Boroughbridge, I'll be back on the main route. Oh, there's enough water there for a brew as well. I've been sorted. No extra water needed. Don't need the simmering though. Got me porridge. Turn the flames down a bit. Get my porridge on. Oh, what fun look. Once again, I brought a bag of Ziploc bags with some rolled oats in it, some sultanas, sweetener, milk powder, and a bit of cinnamon. I'm not saying you like it, I'm just saying that I like porridge like that. All packed up, loaded up and away. Day 2 of my trip. Nice little campsite, mainly catering for caravans. They're all static pitches, but they do allow you with tents. And it's popular. It's mainly a fishing site. There's quite a few fishing ponds that they've set up, and we're going to pass one just on the left as we leave. And apparently the site is very popular with people that come and stay for the weekend or for a week to fish. Seems to be well kept. The only downside was the shower was one of those ones you had to keep pushing every now and again or it would stop. This is the couple that came back for the tea bags. So you hadn't driven far. But we'll see how the day fares now. I've set my sat-nav to take me directly to Boroughbridge, and it's indicating I should be there in 12 minutes. But we shall see. Oh, we shall see. The tarmac road becomes more and more uneven. Eventually Google tells me, make a U-turn. It was wanting me to make a U-turn in the farmyard up ahead, but I decided to do it here rather than driving to up to somebody's house. Make a U-turn, it said. Back down the track. Looking at the screen on my phone, it seemed to indicate I'm going to go right further ahead, and sure enough I got the instruction. In 100 metres or whatever, turn right. Thought, oh, it's a bit strange, maybe it just had a little mind fart. Took me the wrong way at this juncture. So, turn right onto an even more uneven track. But never mind, been on these before, and out the other side onto a small road, so we'll trust in the technology. Let's see where it takes us. And round this bend, a gate and some goalposts. And although you can't really make out, the track didn't continue very far, so it's time to turn round. Oh joy, oh joy. Cheers, Google, but we'll stick with you for a bit. We'll see where we go next. Back the way we came is the way we're going next. Back along the track until we're told to take another right, which leads us to a private road. Marvellous. Oh, cursing at this point, I turned the bike around yet again. But that's it, I'd had enough. Google, you'd let me down. I'm just going to pull up here and have a look at the map and do it old school. Look at it as a piece of paper, make mental notes, left, right, whatever, back on the main carriageway, and Boroughbridge, just round the corner. Marvellous. We're in Boroughbridge in no time. Skirt round the outskirts of Boroughbridge and back onto the cycle track. And by confirmation, there's a cyclist. We were starting to see cyclists again, but I'm now on the Way of the Roses cycle route proper. And I'll be sticking on this route into Ripon. But in Ripon, I'm now on reserve. I'm going to have to fill the tank up. So I'll have to leave the route to find a petrol station. Oh, another cyclist. Great. More confirmation that we're going the right way. I saw a lot of cyclists on this route. Can't understand why. Lots of nice hedges and a nice windy road. It's still quite flat. Things are going to change as we get the other side of Ripon. But at the moment, if you're cycling, like this chap in front, you've got nice flat cycle roads, or nice flat roads to cycle along. Nice easy going. I've got to say, Sandy, Wiltshire man, hats off, mate, because I've just ridden over what you had to ride over. And although this looks very flat and it is fairly steady away, the nightmare is about to begin. The other side of Fountains Abbey, the nightmare begins for cyclists. But we've got to Ripon, and a petrol station awaits. So I'll see you all next time for part 2, as we leave Ripon and go to Fountains Abbey, and then head for Brimon Rocks. So until next time, ta-ra for now.